listener production.
Hey, welcome to The Briefing. I'm Bension Siebert. How do you feel about monogamy in 2024? How do you feel about artificial intelligence? How do you feel about being monogamous with an artificial intelligence? Now, bear with me here, and if you can't imagine a relationship with an AI, there already have been reports out of the US of people saying they have legitimately fallen in love with AIs and that they've felt genuinely hurt when they've changed, i.e. they've gotten an update or had a technical glitch. This technology is only getting better and better, and tech is blending with relationships in weird and potentially uncomfortable ways in 2024. But let's not yuck people's yum here. What will it look like in 10 or 20 years from now? To help us understand where this is all going, we're speaking to futurist Dr. Ben Hamer. Ben, welcome to The Briefing. I will ask your view of the future of relationships and especially AI in a second, but I think anyone listening might reasonably ask, who is this guy with the audacity to tell us what's going to happen in the future? What makes you so sure you can predict anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. I'm still trying to tell my parents what a futurist is because it doesn't leave them with a whole lot of confidence around my ability to pay a mortgage. Look, it's not someone who makes predictions. What we do in sort of what we call foresight and future thinking, we look at the trends that we're seeing today, and then we project them into the future to give different scenarios around how things might play out. So really, it's just about how do we make people more informed about what might play out in the future and what it means to us so we can feel better prepared for that today.
Okay, so let's talk about a potential future. How do you see the way we do relationships now changing?
Yeah, so when I think about how relationships will change, I kind of cast my mind back to how they have changed. And so if I go back even to like the last 50 or so years, I think that we've seen a lot shift in terms of increasing levels of divorce as we've normalized this idea that maybe when you get married, you actually don't want to stay with someone for the rest of your life. We've seen a lot in the way of progress for same-sex relationships and non-traditional sort of quote unquote relationships as well. So more people entering into open relationships or ethical non-monogamy, polyamory and that sort of stuff. So there's been so many social drivers changing love, sex, relationships. And then when I think about what that looks like into the future, I think we'll see even more of that. But I think we'll also see tech play a pretty big role in redefining dating and sex and everything in between.
I'm a bisexual person and I haven't checked in with my straight friends about this for a little while. Is monogamy still going?
Yeah, look, monogamy is still alive and well, particularly in the hetero community. But we're definitely seeing sort of conversations and people being much more open to exploring alternate types of relationships and this idea that a lot of heterosexual relationships are driven by what we've seen through history and tradition and sort of these social norms and expectations. And the biggest one there is that we've always put all our eggs in one basket with one person. So this idea that you spend the rest of your life with some person who is meant to be the person you're most attracted to, most intellectually compatible with, the only person who's going to satisfy your sexual needs as well, and the person you want to raise a family with. Now we're starting to break down that construct and go, well, hang on, maybe companionship is different to sex, which is different to love. That's definitely more common in queer communities where we've had that agency to kind of define what we want out of a relationship. Hetero relationships are still sort of catching up, but it's becoming more common.
In terms of technology, are people already starting to have intimate relationships with artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so there's this really quite well-known example in the AI chatbot space. Back in 2018, a platform called Replica. That's a platform where you can have these conversations with AI, and it's more around companionship more than anything. But in 2018, Replica had this technical glitch and the platform went offline and all hell broke loose because people felt like their boyfriend or girlfriend had actually died because they weren't able to converse with them anymore. And so that brought up a whole heap of questions around, okay, what's the ethical use of these sorts of platforms? We thought it was all well and good, but people are getting really emotionally connected and attached to these chatbots. And then sort of on the other side of it, we're seeing more and more sexually explicit chatbots now. So if you think about like back in the day where people used to call up a phone and a number and spend X number of dollars a minute for some spicy chat, now you're actually doing that online. And Karen AI is an example where you pay by the minute to kind of get your rocks off talking to her.
Is there a bit of a power imbalance in a relationship with an AI if you can literally just delete them if you want to?
Look, there is a power imbalance in the sense that the AI is essentially there to meet a need for you. So as the individual, you have a level of control over what you want out of it. As you said, you can sort of disengage with it at any point if you don't want to. In some instances, what we're seeing now is, I don't want to get too technical, but like you can create almost your own chatbot through sort of how you would create your own chat GPT version for yourself. And so with that, you can also make it submissive, dominant. You can make it be sort of whatever you want, which takes away a bit of the excitement that comes with the unpredictability of what makes us uniquely human and how we engage with each other. But yeah, that is definitely one of the sort of risks or things that comes with having relationships or sort of AI companions.
Do you think that an artificial intelligence can cheat on you?
Not necessarily right now, because each AI is sort of different for different people. So it's hard for it to necessarily cheat per se. But as we start to see the AI platforms get far more sophisticated, then potentially, but also as we start to see it move into the realm of AI sex bots, which is what we're seeing more and more of, which is physical robots that people have sex with, but also which are being designed for emotional connection as well. So again, trying to replicate what a human can give you. I think that's when you'll start to see in the future this idea of an AI chatbot or sex bot being unfaithful.
Should we consider the idea that people are having these intimate relationships with artificial intelligence as something that's simply beneficial to people? They want to do it, they like it, it's great. Or should we consider this a genuine human tragedy that there are people out there who feel the need to have a connection with an artificial intelligence? Does it suggest a lack of human connection?
I think there's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's somewhere in between. Like, I think it's good that we offer it, but we don't want to become overly reliant on it, or we don't want to take away from human connection. And so what I mean by that is you've got people who could be painfully shy or highly introverted or asexual or whatever it might be, and they're just not able to necessarily find love connection in a conventional way that we do in what we would call sort of traditional society and how we engage in relationships. And so for them, I think it's a really great avenue for them to be able to find connection and to build confidence. And we're even seeing like AI dating coaches. So similar to in recruitment, people are using AI to help them do mock interviews, prepare them for interviews. So you've got people who aren't necessarily dating AI, but they're using it as like a dating coach to help them for when they then go on a date and to do mock dates and things like that. So I think that it's good that we have it there as an avenue. I just don't think that we want to naturally then over-rely on it, or people then start to withdraw from the face-to-face or the human connection and start favoring AI instead. And that kind of gets to someone else I'm a big fan of, Esther Perel. She talks about AI in terms of artificial intimacy. And so this idea that, as you know, we've got this sort of modern loneliness epidemic that's underway at the moment, but we feel like we're so connected because of how we talk to each other all the time on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. And so just making sure that we're not masking some bigger or overarching problem, that we don't go so far down the realm of technology and AI that we lose that human to human connection, which is just so important.
Do you think that concern might be just kind of the same moral panic that people had about like video games or people spending too much time on the internet? Is this all just going to turn out fine?
I hope so. I'm optimistic. I think that we are seeing an increase in, screen time. We're seeing an increase in people who are engaging more and more online. We're seeing the rise of things like deepfake pornography. We're seeing VR porn, all sorts of ways in which technology is really starting to come into the dating landscape. So as long as we are educating kids and ourselves as adults around the right and ethical use of these technologies, and again, that we're not sort of spending so much time that we forget what it's like to engage and be with each other as humans, then I think that it will turn out fine. But it's just making sure that we have the right things in place and that level of education so that we can stop the bad stuff from happening.
Well, Ben Hamer, thanks so much for joining us on The Briefing.
Thank you.
Ben Hamer there. That's it for this episode of The Briefing. We'd love it if you could share this app with someone you think might enjoy it. And if you want to keep up with our other content, you can check us out on Instagram at The Briefing Podcast and on TikTok and YouTube. Just search Listener Newsroom. We'll be back in your feed tomorrow at 6 a.m. I'm Bension Siebert. Catch you next time.